Hi everyone, this is Arvind from Mindmajix, and today I welcome you all to this amazing session on Jira interview questions. So, guys, in this particular video, we will be covering roughly around 30 questions, and all of these 30 questions have been divided into three categories. Like the first category will be the freshers, like the questions that are meant for freshers. Then the second category is for the intermediate candidates, like those people who have at least 2 to 3 years of experience with Jira. And then we have the third category, which is the advanced question. Like it is meant for those people who have at least 4 to 5 years of experience working with Jira. Okay, so this is the agenda for today's video. And before moving ahead, I want you guys to subscribe to Mindmagic's YouTube channel and also hit that bell icon so that you never miss an update from us. So, without any further delay, let's get started with our first question. So, the very first question over here is, what is Jira and what it is used for? So, as you all know, Jira is a very popular project management tool, and this particular tool has been developed by the company called Atlassian. Now, there are various uses for Jira. Like the first use is for tracking the issues. So now, if you're working in a company, there can be various issues in a particular project that you might be working on. So those issues could be like logging, bugs, tasks, and improvement requests. So all of these can be easily handled by Jira. Then the second use of Jira is managing agile projects. So as you all know, Scrum and Kanban boards allow teams to plan sprints and manage workflows effectively. Like if you're working in IT projects. So majority of the companies follow the agile methodology, and with this particular methodology, Jira comes in very handy to effectively manage all the projects. And the third use over here is the workflow management. So with Jira, custom workflows can help organizations manage processes for various departments like software development or the IT department, marketing, HR, so on and so forth. So these are the uses of Jira. Just to give you an example, so a software development team uses Jira to manage their tasks during sprints. The product owner over here creates a user story like, as a user, I want to reset my password, and this particular user story is then assigned to the team of developers. So once the developers create this functionality in the application or the software, then the QA teams track the bugs and fix them. After this, the Scrum Master monitors the sprint progress using the burn down chart. So this was a brief example of the use of Jira in the IT companies. The next question is, what are Jira issues? So basically, Jira issues are the core units of work in Jira. So they represent anything that needs to be tracked or completed. For example, like it can be anything like a bug or a new task or a new feature request. So there are a few common issue types such as a task or a bug or a story. Like a task can be a general work item or an activity that needs to be completed. A bug can be a defect or an error in the system. And the third type of issue is a story. So a story is nothing but a user functionality that needs to be implemented. So for example, a QA engineer finds a bug where a button doesn't work and creates an issue of the type bug with the title login button is unresponsive. So to fix this bug, developers use this issue to track the fix and mark it as resolved once it is tested. The next question is, what are Jira projects? So basically, a project in Jira is a collection of issues that are organized to achieve a specific kind of goal. So each project has its own configurations, and these configurations can be like workflows, issue types, permissions, and all of these are specific to meet the team's requirements or the needs. So projects can represent initiatives like software development, marketing campaign, or operational tasks. So Jira basically supports two types of projects. The first one is a team managed project, and the second one is a company managed project. So now, what is the difference between a team managed project and a company managed project? So basically, a team managed project is customizable by the individual teams, whereas a company managed project is administered centrally. For example, the marketing department creates a project called the Q1 product launch, which includes the tasks for designing social media assets, drafting press releases, and running ad campaigns. The next question is, how do you create an issue in Jira? So, guys, this is a very basic question, and as a fresher or a beginner, you must be easily able to answer this question. So, now to create an issue in Jira, basically there are 5 steps. So, in the first step, what you do is you have to click on the create button, which is on the top navigation bar. After that, once you click on the create button, the next step is to select the project where the issue belongs. So there can be multiple projects over here, and you have to select the project specific to the issue. After this, you have to choose the issue type, like what kind of issue you want to create. So it can be anything like a task, a bug, or a story. After that, the fourth step is you have to fill out a few details, such as you have to describe the issue type using summary, description, and you have to also mention the priority, which can be like high, medium, low, and you have to assign it to the person who can fix that issue. After this, you just have to save the issue by clicking the create button. So once you follow these steps, you can easily create an issue in Jira. The next question is, what are the workflows in Jira? So guys, workflows in Jira basically define the life cycle of an issue. So what do you mean by life cycle? The life cycle of an issue means the steps through which an issue undergoes. So these can be to do, in progress, and done. And apart from these stages, it is also important to consider the transition which happens between these statuses. So workflows basically ensure the tasks move smoothly through the predefined steps until they are fixed or completed. So you can customize the workflows to match your team's needs by adding the status such as review, blocked, or reopened. And workflows also support validations, triggers, and conditions. So just to give you an example of a workflow, so if in a software project you find a bug, the workflow could be like to do, which is the first step. So to do is like you have to first fix that bug. Once that bug is mentioned or created using an issue, then the particular team or an individual who is responsible for fixing that bug will take that issue and the status will be in progress. Once the bug has been fixed, then it will be sent for review, which is the next step, which is code review. After that, the bug is tested, and once everything falls in place, then the status of the bug changes to completed or done. The next question is, you need to assign an issue to multiple users. So how do you handle this thing in Jira? So basically, Jira doesn't allow assigning an issue to multiple users simultaneously. So instead of that, what you can do is you can use an approach like what you can do is you can assign that issue to the primary owner. Now, the primary owner is someone who takes the responsibility and mention the collaborators in the comment section. And the second approach is create a subtask for each user to handle that particular portion of the work. For example, for a task titled develop a new login page, the issue is assigned to, let's say, a front end developer named John. And for the front end developer to fix or to create a new login page, he also has to work with a back end developer called Tom. So the front end developer will mention the back end developer's name in the comment section. And what is the responsibility or the task assigned to the backend developer? So basically, he has to handle the API integration. So alternatively, subtasks are created both for the front end and the backend developers. The next question is, your team finds the default Jira workflow as inadequate. Now, how would you modify it? So basically, over here, you have to modify the workflow, and there are a few steps that you need to follow to do it. So the first step would be, first you have to go to the project settings and then you have to click on the workflows. So once you go to the workflows, you have to click on the edit workflow. Over here, you might need to copy the workflow if it is shared with other projects as well. The third step would be to add or remove the statuses as and when required. After that, what you have to do is you have to define the transition between status. Like these transitions can be adding rules for who can remove the issue from in progress to review. And finally, the fifth step is to publish the updated workflow. So once everything is done, you have to publish that workflow. For example, a development team adds a new status called testing between in progress and done to better track the QA process. So only QA engineers are given the permission to transition issue to testing or done. The next question is, how can you prioritize issues in a backlog? So basically, you can prioritize in the issues in Jira by following a few steps. So the first step would be dragging and dropping them in desired order. And you have to do this on the backlog screen. The second step could be using the priority field like critical, high, medium, low. By using these types of priorities, you can classify the importance of the issues. And the third approach or the third way is by adding labels or custom fields for specific needs like customer request or P1 or P2 or whatever. So for example, the product owner identifies a bug causing a crash as critical and moves it to the top of the backlog to be fixed immediately in the next sprint. The next question is, what are filters in Jira? So basically, filters are saved search queries that help you quickly find a specific set of issues. So you can create filters using the JQL or the Jira query language and share them with others in your particular team. So for example, a filter to find all of the unresolved high priority bugs assigned to the current user. And if you're using the Java programming language, so what you can do over here is here you have the assignee and here you have the current user. Like the current user has been assigned a specific task. And now what is that task? So the priority of the task is high and the resolution is unresolved. So all of the high priority issues and unresolved issues are assigned to the current user. The next question is, how do you track the progress of a sprint in Jira? So basically, there are three ways through which you can track the sprint progress in Jira. So the first way could be active sprint board. So this particular method or technique displays all of the current status of all the issues that are present. Like the statuses could be to do, in progress, and done. The second way is using a burn down chart. So basically, using burn down chart, you can track the completed and the remaining work during that particular sprint. And the third way is using the sprint reports. So basically, sprint reports provides insights into sprint goals, completed tasks, and carried over work. So for example, the team notices from the burn down chart that they are behind the schedule because fewer tasks than expected were completed in the first few days. Okay, so guys, with this, we have completed the first category of questions, like the questions that were meant for the beginners or the freshers. And now the next 10 questions will be for the intermediate candidates. So the next question over here is, explain the Jira query language and its components. So Jira query language or JQL is a powerful tool in Jira for creating complex search queries to filter and find specific issues. So JQL is basically comprised of three main components. The first component is the field. So over here you have the attributes of an issue. For example, the status, the assignee, the priority, and so on. Next, you have the operators. So basically, operators can be symbols or keywords that define the relationship between the fields and the values. For example, equal to, not equal to, in, and, or, and so on. And finally, the third component is the keyword. So keyword are like reserved terms like order by or null that refine the query further. The next question is, how can you configure custom fields in Jira? So in order to create and configure custom fields, there are a few steps that you must follow. So as you can see on the screen, these are the 4 steps that you must follow. The first step is, first you have to navigate to the settings. Once you go to settings, then you have to select issues, and after that you have to select the custom fields. So once you do that, the second step is you have to click on create custom field and choose the type. So type could be anything like a text, a date, or a drop down menu. After this, the third step is you have to assign the field to the desired screens or projects. And finally, the fourth step, which is also optional, you can define the default values, field validations, and the visibility. So once you follow these four steps, you can easily configure the custom fields in Jira. So just to give you an example, so if a marketing team wants to track campaign impact, they can create a custom field called impact level with a drop down options like high, medium, and low. The next question is, what is the difference between Scrum and Kanban boards in Jira? So guys, this is a very important question for Jira. And once you successfully answer this question, so this is going to create a very good impression of yours on the interviewer's mind. So make sure you answer this question very well in the actual interview that you will face. So basically, Scrum and Kanban boards are the tools to manage the effective workflows. But the purpose of both of these is different. So first, let's talk about Scrum board. So basically, Scrum board is designed for teams working in sprints. So sprints are nothing but a time boxed iteration. So basically, the time for a particular sprint can be anything between 1 to 4 weeks. Scrum board is focused on completing a predefined amount of work within a particular sprint. And Scrum board includes sprint planning, backlog grooming, and sprint retrospectives as well. If you talk about Kanban boards, so they are designed for continuous delivery without time constraint. So in Scrum board, we have time constraint, and in Kanban board, we do not have any of the time constraint. Next, Kanban board focuses on limiting the work in progress to improve the efficiency. And Kanban board is more suitable for operational teams like support or maintenance. So for example, a development team uses a Scrum board for their 2 week sprints, while a customer support team uses a Kanban board to manage daily incoming tickets. I hope this clearly explains the difference between Scrum and Kanban boards in Jira. The next question is, how can you manage user permissions in Jira? So guys, this is a very simple question, and user permissions in Jira are controlled via the permission schemes. So these schemes define which user or groups can perform specific actions. For example, creating issues, editing the issues, and deleting the issues. So to manage the user permissions in Jira, first what you have to do is you have to go to settings, then you have to click on system, and then you have to click on the permissions. Once you do this, you have to assign the roles, like for which role the permission has been managed. Like it can be anything like administrator, developer, viewer, and so on. So you have to assign these roles to groups or individual users. After that, you have to apply the permission scheme to relevant projects. So just to give you an example, a team might restrict the ability to transition an issue to done only to team leads, while all of the team members can transition issues to in progress. The next question is, what are the versions or releases in Jira and how do you use them? So versions or releases in Jira represent the milestones or software versions in a project. So basically, they help you track which features or fixes are a part of which specific release. So in order to use the versions or releases, what you can do is you have to navigate to the project settings and you have to click on versions. Once you do that, you have to click on the create version and you have to give it a name as well. So like you can give it anything like version 1.0, 1.2, 1.1, and so on. So once you do that, the third step is you have to assign the issues to that particular version during the backlog grooming. Once that is done, what you have to do is you have to mark the version as released when the associated work or the specific work related to that version is completed. The next question is a scenario based question. So let's see what is the scenario over here. So let's say a user cannot see a project in Jira. So how would you troubleshoot this particular issue? So if a user cannot access a project, the issue is likely related to the permissions. So now in order to troubleshoot this, what you can do is you have to first verify that the user is added to the correct group or the project role. After that, what you have to do is you have to check the permission scheme that is assigned to that particular project. So you have to ensure that the user has the permission which is browse project. Once that is done, what you have to do is you have to confirm the project visibility. Like the visibility could be private or public. So once you follow these steps, the issue will be resolved, like the troubleshooting will be done and the user will be able to access the project. So let's say if a new developer is hired, they may need to be added to the developers group in order to access the active projects that the company is working on. The next question is another scenario based question. So the scenario over here is, so let's say your team wants a new workflow for tracking the issue approvals. So how do you set it up? So basically over here, you have to create a new workflow and there are a few steps that you need to follow to create a workflow. First, you have to go to the settings and then issues, next workflows, and finally create workflow. So once this step is done, you have to add the statuses like pending approval, approved or rejected. Once that is done, you have to define the transition between the statuses like submit for approval and so on. Once the third step is done, you have to assign the workflow to the relevant project. For example, a finance team adds an approved status for expense report reviews. So over here, only managers can transition the issues to this particular status. The next question is, how do you bulk edit multiple issues in Jira? So bulk editing allows you to modify several issues simultaneously. And there are a few steps that you need to follow in order to do this. So the first step would be you have to use JQL or the Jira query language or search filter to find the particular issue. So once you find that issue, what you have to do is you have to select the tools and then click on the bulk change from the issues menu. The third step would be to select the desired operation, like what you have to do with that particular issue, like you have to edit it, transition it, or delete it. After that is done, what you have to do is you have to review the changes and just confirm those changes. For example, during a sprint planning, a Scrum Master updates the priority of 50 backlog issues to medium using the bulk edit. The next question is, how can you use Jira reports to track team performance? Jira provides various reports to monitor the team productivity and the project progress. So what are those reports that the Jira has to offer us? The first one is the burn down chart. So using a burn down chart, you can track remaining work in a sprint and it helps to predict the completion of work as well. The next way is the velocity chart. So using velocity chart, you can track the team's delivery capacity. For example, the story points completed per sprint. So that can be tracked using a velocity chart. And the third option over here is the control chart. So using the control chart, you can analyze cycle times to identify the bottlenecks that you are facing. For example, a Scrum Master uses the velocity chart to track the team that delivers an average of 30 story points per sprint and helping estimate timelines for future releases. The next question is, how do you handle issue dependency in Jira? So Jira basically allows linking two issues to indicate the dependency, such as blocks or blocked by. So this shows that an issue depends on another issue. And the second option over here is the relates to. So basically using relates to means that the two issues are interlinked. So to manage the dependencies more effectively, what you can do is you can make use of advanced roadmaps for visual representation, and you can also use third-party plugins like dependency mapper. For example, a backend team's task is create API for user login, and this task blocks the front-end task like design a login page UI. So the dependency ensures that the front-end team knows when to start their work. So guys, with this, we have covered the intermediate level of questions for Jira. And now the next category of questions is for the advanced people. So the next question over here is, what are advanced roadmaps in Jira and how do they help with planning? So guys, basically advanced roadmaps, which were previously known as portfolios for Jira, is a feature in Jira Premium that helps the teams with long-term planning and managing cross-team dependencies. So using advanced roadmaps, What you can do is you can visualize the project on a timeline showing the progress of initiatives and epics. You can also track the dependencies between tasks and resolve the potential bottlenecks. And last but not the least, you can also forecast timelines based on capacity and velocity. So now if you talk about the key features of advanced roadmaps, so here you have roll up progress across multiple teams and projects, and you can also create scenarios to simulate different plans, for example, with or without specific resources. For example, a company working on a product launch uses advanced roadmaps to coordinate work across marketing, engineering, and QA. So, dependencies between the tasks like finalize the product design and create marketing campaigns are tracked to ensure the timely delivery of the product. The next question is, how do you integrate Jira with other tools like Confluence, Bitbucket, or Slack? So Jira integrates seamlessly with other Atlassian and third-party tools in order to enhance the collaboration and streamline the workflows. So if you talk about Confluence, so you can easily link Jira issues to Confluence pages to document project details, requirements, or meeting notes. And in Confluence, you can also use the Jira issues macro in Confluence to display the Jira issues dynamically. If you talk about Bitbucket, so automatically in Bitbucket, you can link Jira issues to Bitbucket commits, pull requests, and branches. And in Bitbucket, transitioning from Jira issues like in progress to code review directly from Bitbucket when merging a pull request. So thirdly, if you talk about Slack, so here what you have to do is you have to install the Jira Slack integration to receive the notifications about the Jira issues in your Slack channel directly. So once you do that, you can use Slack commands like Jira to create the issues without leaving the Slack. So for example, a developer creates a branch named a feature or a user 101 in Bitbucket and automatically link it to the Jira issues user 101. Add user authentication. The next question is, what are Jira automation rules and how you can use them to streamline the process? So basically, Jira automation rules allow the users to create automated actions triggered by specific events. So this feature eliminates the repetitive tasks and ensures that the process are run smoothly. So in order to set up the automation rules, there are a few steps that you need to follow. So first you have to go to the project settings and click on automation. Once you do that, you have to choose a trigger, like trigger can be issue transitioned. Then in the third step, you have to define the condition. For example, you can mention the priority over here. And finally, in the fourth step, you have to set an action. For example, sending an email notification. So example of automation scenarios can be when a bug is moved from in progress to notify the QA lead via email, automatically assign the issues to default assignee when created in a specific project, or reopen an issue if a customer comments on it and after it has been marked as resolved. The next question is, what are the advantages of using Jira plugins or marketplace apps? So the Jira marketplace offers thousands of plugins to extend the Jira functionality. So some of the key benefits of using Jira plugins is enhanced reporting. So with tools like EasyBI provide advanced analytics and dashboarding. The second benefit is dependency management. So here you have apps like Structure or Big Picture that help you visualize complex issue hierarchies. And the third benefit is the test management. So here you have tools like Z5 or X-Ray to integrate the testing workflows directly into Jira. So just to give you an example, a QA team uses Zfire to create test cases, link them to Jira stories, and track the execution during the sprints. The next question is, how would you set up a release management process in Jira? So to manage the releases in Jira effectively, first you have to define the version in the project and link them to the issues. Then you have to use the fixed version in order to track which issues are a part of which release. After that, you have to leverage the release hub to monitor the progress, resolve the blockers, and release the software once all issues are completed. For example, a mobile app team creates a version called V1.2 and tracks the issues like add dark mode and fix login bug. So once all the tasks are done and tested, the team marks V1.2 as released. The next question is, let's say you have a scenario over here. So your team wants to track the work across multiple projects. So how would you achieve this in Jira? So to track the work across multiple projects, what you can do is, first you can use the advanced roadmaps to consolidate the projects into a single plan. And then what you can do is you can create a filter query to fetch the issues from multiple projects. The third and the last step would be you have to share the query that you have received in the second step via a dashboard for all of the team members. For example, a company with a front end and back end teams working on separate projects track issues for a feature rollout by creating a cross project dashboard showing the progress of both the teams. The next question is, let's say a team member accidentally transitions an issue to the wrong status. So how do you prevent this in the future? So in order to prevent the incorrect transitions, what you can do is you can first add the conditions. So by adding the condition, what you're doing is you have to limit the transitions to specific roles or users. For example, only QA members can transitions the issue to testing. The second step to prevent this is validation rules. So over here you use validators to enforce the mandatory fields or checks before the transitions. And the third way over here is using automation rules. So using automation rules, you automatically revert the incorrect transitions based on predefined criteria or conditions. For example, for a workflow, a condition is added so only developers can move issues from to do to in progress, avoiding accidental transitions by non-developers. The next question is, how do you handle performance issues in Jira when managing a large number of issues? So in order to optimize the Jira performance, what you can do is, first you have to archive the old issues. So what do you mean by archiving the old issues? So here you have to move completed or outdated issues to an archived project. Then the second technique is indexing. So over here you have to regularly re-index Jira to ensure that the searches are efficient and useful. The third technique is database tuning. So over here you have to optimize database queries and connections. And the fourth technique is using bulk operations. So over here you have to perform large edits or deletions using bulk operations to save the time. For example, an enterprise with 1 million plus issues creates a separate project for archived tasks, significantly improving the dashboard and the query load times. The next question is, what are the issue security levels and how do they work? So issue security levels restrict access to specific issues based on the user roles or groups. So the first step over here is you have to define the security levels. So basically in issue security schemes, you have to create various levels like public or confidential. Then you have to apply the security levels. So over here you have to assign them to issues at the time of creation or edit. For example, in a legal project, issues marked as confidential are only visible to managers and legal advisors. The next question is, how do you ensure compliance with audit requirements in Jira? So in order to meet the compliance needs, what you have to do is you have to enable the issue history tracking to log changes made to issues. After that, you have to use the automation rules to notify the stakeholders of important updates. The next step is to generate the reports for audits using plugins like EasyBI or Tempo timesheets. And last but not the least, we have to enforce the permission controls to prevent unauthorized access. For example, for a financial project, auditors request a log of all the changes made to the high priority tasks. So Jira's built-in history feature and an EasyBI report provides the necessary data for this purpose. So guys, with this we have come to the end of this session on Jira interview questions. I hope you guys have enjoyed this session. So if at all you have any doubts or queries related to this session, then you can write them in the comment section and we will try to resolve your queries as soon as possible. So guys, thank you so much for being with us and I wish you all the very best.